going to do a little talk today about Austin on Rails, a user group here in Austin. Group I started in 2005, at the end of 2005. I'm just going to walk through the history of it a little bit and a little bit about myself and tell you how we run the meetings, where the meetings are, tiny bit about Ruby on Rails. Has anyone here heard of Ruby on Rails? Maybe, all right, a little more than half. I'm a software developer in my day job, and I've been doing Ruby on Rails since 2005. Was one of those early adopters, and me and a couple of guys decided that we would really like to meet other people who were using the technology. And at the time, no one was using it. It was brand new, just hobbyists mostly. But I do other stuff too. I organize Austin on Rails, open coffees, Friday night hack nights, a bunch of different stuff. So I'm kind of a mix of software developer and community organizer. So a little bit about Rails. It's for building web applications. So the dynamic parts of a web app, you can have web pages and then have it web applications. And Ruby on Rails is a great way to build dynamic web applications. It's fast to develop with. Ruby is a lot of fun. And a ton of companies, especially small companies, are using Rails to build their first versions and beyond, because it's easy to get started prototyping, and it can also scale up to much larger sites. These are a couple of the sites that you might have heard of: Twitter, Guild Group, Yellow Pages, and Hulu. These sites use Ruby on Rails to deliver their customer experience on the web. It's being used by hundreds or tens of thousands of companies now, and these are some of the larger profile ones. So a little bit about the group. This picture, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little dark, but this is me in the front. And I've been saying for a long time that there were 8 people at the first meeting, but this picture kind of proves me wrong. There are actually 14 people in the picture. So, but this was us. This was upstairs at Frog Design. They were our first meeting host over there on Congress Avenue. And yeah, we just got together, and this is me. I'm about to talk about Rails 1.0, and that was launched in December of 2005. So that was about to happen, and this is the November meeting of our group, the first meeting. So here's a rough walkthrough of some of the numbers, the meeting attendance we've had. Kind of has grown slowly over time, 10 to 20, 35 to 40, 45 to 50. It's just kind of steadily grown, and as Rails popularity has grown. And we've just been there. We've been a constant in the community, and we've continued to attract people to be interested in the technology and use the technology, and we help people learn the technology through our technical presentations that we do every month. So 2011, how is it going? Well, this was our last meeting at Buffalo Billiards. We've recently switched our location to Buffalo because we were exploding out of our current space. And as the tweet says, I counted 84 people there. We had 100 chairs set up. This is a stage setup in the upstairs room at Buffalo, just like Refresh Austin does, which you'll hear from later this afternoon. We set up in there, and it went really well. So here's a little bit of the raw numbers of our group. We use various networks to keep in touch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and we have mailing lists. Just to give you an idea, so on our discussion list, 226 people. We're following back 190 on Twitter. That's probably out of date because it's really hard to keep up with everyone who is coming to the meetings. LinkedIn, there's more recruiters on LinkedIn, so the 260 includes a lot of those. So anyway, but it gives you an idea. We're a sizable community, and definitely would encourage you to come check it out. It's a lot of fun. Here's some of the local companies that are using Rails. You might have heard of, Other Inbox, Josh Bayer's company, Gowalla, Rackspace, People Admin, Spiceworks, and Mass Relevance. Mass Relevance were the ones that powered the Twitter Obama town hall about a month ago. If you guys saw that, that was pretty remarkable to see one of the Austin companies see Obama. Austin company, Obama. It was a great moment. So we do a little survey at every month's meeting, and we ask, who's hiring, who's looking? I've been asking that question for at least 3 years, and it goes in cycles. I mean, a few years ago, definitely it was harder to find work, but I would say like maybe a year ago, it kind of shifted to where at one meeting we had 6 people hiring, 0 looking. And I tweeted that out, and I said, learn Ruby, and it got retweeted like 50 times by people all over the country, all over the world. People who are just Ruby proponents were thinking that was good advice, learn Ruby. But lately, I would say we've been having, 3 people looking, 3 people hiring. It's fairly balanced. At least there's something on each side of the equation. Which is better. This is actually what we want. We don't want the situation where companies can't find people. I checked over the jobs list. We've had an average of 9 positions posted per month in 2011. And lately it's been about 1 per week. So here's our format. Kind of welcome everyone and get everyone there. We do 2 talks at every meeting. Which is something that I've always done, and I didn't really ever think about it until later, but it's good insurance against having a speaker cancel. So you always have something for people to look at and experience, even if one of the speakers cancels. So it's good practice, but we've started doing this beginner talk, advanced talk thing. As we've grown in size, and like I said, we've swelled to 84 members at our last meeting, we want to address those people who are new to the technology specifically, because we've been sort of just doing any kind of talk we wanted to about the technology and related technologies, but we're feeling like that was leaving some people out in the cold a little bit, who are trying to come to the meetings and trying to absorb things, even if it's just through osmosis. They're sitting there. This talk will specifically address the beginning Rails person. I mean, hopefully they're developers in some capacity, so they have some notion of what it means to develop a web application. But that we just did that the first time last month, and it was well received, and we're going to do it again this month. The socialization practice it's kind of a joke on developers to get them to come out and actually talk to each other instead of being behind their machines. But we do it every time, and I think it's really important. It binds the community together in a different way than formal talks and a little bit of chatter. It gives people a chance to grab a beer, grab a soda or whatever, and just meet up. And that's where a lot of community building and also business gets done. So here's our new venue. It's Buffalo Billiards on 6th Street. You're probably familiar with it already, but 4th Tuesdays is what we always try to do. So it's almost always on 4th Tuesdays. But we post the meetings up on our blog and to our mailing list. I want to give a shout out to Carlos here, who designed our shirt. I'll show you. I'm like Superman now. See? Ta-da! So anyway, this shirt is really awesome. One of our guys, Barry, just said, hey, let's make a shirt before RailsConf this year. Threw together this shirt and a website in like a couple weeks, and I think we sold like 20 or 30 of them. But it's really awesome, so I'm proud to wear it. I'm proud of the community. So here's the wrap up. If you want to follow us, you can come to the Twitter account, Austin on Rails, or go to austinonrails.org. And we are having a meeting tomorrow night. It's going to be awesome. Food on the Table is a local startup that I should have mentioned actually in my slides, but they're using lean startup principles, if you're familiar with that. But basically they're building their business on Ruby on Rails, doing really interesting things, and they're going to talk about their development process. And their beginner talk is a guy who started with PHP and he came into their company and didn't know anything about Ruby, and it talks about his journey from being a PHP programmer to learning Rails, which should be really interesting. So I think that's about it. I don't know how much time we have left, but if we do have any, we can have a question. Right. So the question is, does Ruby on Rails have some of the similar capabilities to PHP, which has a lot of years of under development? Most definitely. Rails it's modern web development these days with JavaScript, libraries such as jQuery, CoffeeScript. I really feel like Rails is pushing the edge of web technology. So PHP, if that's what you want to use and that's what you know, totally fine, and a lot of people do that. But I would say people choose PHP, Django, Python, or Ruby Rails to do their web apps these days. And they're all very successful sites doing this. So yes, I mean, it can do pretty much anything you want to do.